All right, thank you guys. Welcome to our Major League Baseball video here today for Saturday, April 17th. My name is Brock Page and I do sports picks for free right here on YouTube. Now guys, we are once again coming off a 3-1 day in our 4 premium sports picks on my Patreon website. That's going to put us at 2-0 in our last two $1.99 daily best plays on that Patreon page. We're also 2-0 in our last 2 Major League Baseball tier package picks on that Patreon site as well. And the good news is this: we have another Major League Baseball tier package pick going off this evening. We currently have over 1,350 members who are signed up and active on that page. And if you want to see which one of these YouTube picks I am actually betting on personally, a link for that site is in the description section below. That's patreon.com/BrockPage. And with that, guys, let's go ahead and dive into some Saturday action. The Tampa Bay Rays take on the New York Yankees. 1:05 Eastern first pitch in the Bronx. The Tampa Bay Rays are the $1.20 favorite on the road here. Totals 8 flat. The Yankees are the plus $1 underdog on their home field. They're also minus $1.55, catching the 1.5 on the run line. Jordan Montgomery's the expected starter for the Yankees. Tyler Glasnow projected on the bump here for Tampa. And despite a convincing victory over this very New York squad last night, the Tampa Bay Rays have still lost 3 out of their last 4 ball games, and they currently have a losing record on the road. Tampa scoring just 3.8 runs per contest. They're taking on a Yankee team who's got Jordan Montgomery on the hill. He's 1-0 with a 3.27 ERA and a 1.00 whip. Montgomery's also struck out 11 batters through 11 innings of work. The Yankees pitching staff is striking out nearly 13 batters a game on their home field. Now, total-wise, New York's last 3 straight did get over the total of 8 runs. 6 out of their last 9 got over that number as well. Meanwhile, 3 out of Tampa's last 4 got over the total of 8 runs themselves. Now, the Rays are officially 6-1 to the over as the official road team, 10-4 to the over for the entire season. I'm going to lean toward the underdog, New York Yankees, plus $1 and the over 8 runs. Next ball game, it is going to be D-backs versus the Nationals, 1:05 Eastern start time. The Washington Nationals are minus $1.10, numbers 8.5. Eric Fedde for the Nats, Luke Weaver for the Diamondbacks. Despite a solid start to the 2021 season for Weaver, the Diamondbacks are really, a bad baseball team right now. They lost 6 out of their last 9 contests, and they also find themselves winning in just 33% of their road games. Now, Arizona's taking on a Washington team who won 3 out of their last 5 themselves. They gave up just 2 total runs in those 3 victories. Now, the Washington Nationals rank in the top 5 in the majors in hits on average per contest. Juan Soto is batting .350 with 2 homers and 7 ribbies. Meanwhile, Starlin Castro's leading the club in ribbies with 8 of them. Now, these Washington hitters, they're in the top 10 in fewest strikeouts at the plate per contest. Certainly doing a good job making contact and getting on base. Now, total-wise, the Nationals are 3-2 to the over at Nationals Park. 6 out of Arizona's last 8 got over the total of 8.5 runs themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Washington Nationals minus $1.10 and the over 8.5. Next ball game, Blue Jays Royals, game 1 of a double dip, 2:10 p.m. Eastern start time. The Toronto Blue Jays are minus $1.20, totals 9 runs. Mike Matz for Toronto, Mike Minor for Kansas City. The Miners 1-0 in the year with 9 strikeouts in 10 innings pitched. The Royals are on a 3-game winning streak, 5-2 straight up at Kauffman Stadium. The Royals are also cashing in on the run line in 64% of their contests as well. The Royals are in the top 3 in the league in home hits, and they're scoring just about 7 runs per game as the official home team. Whit Merrifield's batting .364 with 3 homers and a .994 OPS. Meanwhile, Salvador Perez, he's batting .302 with 3 homers and 8 batted in as well. They're taking on a Toronto team who lost 6 out of their last 9, and they currently have a losing record on the road. They've been victorious in only 3 of 7 road games. They're scoring just 3.5 runs per contest as the away team as well. When it comes to the number in this one, 5 out of Toronto's last 7 failed to stay under the total of 9 runs. Matter of fact, the Blue Jays are currently 70% to the over in their last 10 meetings with Kansas City. Meanwhile, the Royals saw 5 out of their last 7 home games get over the line themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Kansas City Royals plus $1 and the over 9 runs. Next ball game, it is going to be Braves versus the Cubs, 2:20 Eastern start. The Atlanta Braves are minus $1.30, totals 8.5. Huascar Ynoa for the Braves, Trevor Williams for Chicago. Now, Trevor Williams is 1-1 with a 6.75 ERA and a 1.71 WHIP. The Cubbies are currently on a 2-game losing streak, and they also dropped 7 out of their last 9. Now, Chicago's biggest problem is they just can't get on the board. They're dead last in scoring on average per contest, dead last in hits. The Cubs are averaging just 2.6 runs per game. Now they're taking on an Atlanta team who's on a 2-game winning streak themselves, 6-4 straight up in their last 10. Now Huascar Ynoa, he's also had a great start to the season. He's got a .75 ERA in 12 innings of work, 15 strikeouts, and a .67 WHIP. This Braves pitching staff is averaging double-digit strikeouts a game. Now, total-wise, 5 out of Atlanta's last 7 road games stayed under the line. Chicago's 6-1 to the under at Wrigley. The Cubs are also 10-3 to the under for the entire season. I'm going to lean toward the Atlanta Braves minus $1.30 and the under 8.5. Next ball game, it is going to be St. Louis versus Philadelphia. 4:05 Eastern start time at Citizens Bank Park. The St. Louis Cardinals are minus $1.15, numbers 9 juice to the under. Kwang Yun Kim for the Cards, Matt Moore for the Phils. Now Moore has a 7.56 ERA and a 2.04 WHIP. The Phillies have also lost 5 out of their last 7 ball games, and they averaged only 1.8 runs per contest in those 5 defeats. The Phillies are one of the worst lineups in the league at the plate. They're in the bottom 3 in scoring, bottom 3 in offensive walks. Philadelphia is averaging just 3.5 runs per contest. They're taking on a Cardinals team who's got a winning record on the road this season, and they've done a real nice job getting on the scoreboard. St. Louis is in the top 10 in scoring on average per contest, and they're led by Tommy Edman, who's batting .309 with 17 total hits. Nolan Arenado's also hit 3 homers and knocked in 8. The Cardinals are in the top 10 in the league in road scoring as well. When it comes to the total in this one, 6 out of St. Louis's last 10 contests stayed under the total of 9 runs. Meanwhile, the Phillies saw 3 out of their last 4 stay under that number themselves. I'm going to lean toward the St. Louis Cardinals minus $1.15 and the under 9 runs. Next ball game, it is the Battle of the Sox. I'm talking about the White Sox versus the Red Sox, 4:05 Eastern Standard Time. The Boston Red Sox are minus $1.15 at home, totals 9. Nick Pivetta for Boston, Dylan Cease for Chicago. Now, Dylan Cease is yet to pick up a win this season. He's walked 6 batters in just over 9 innings pitched. He also has a 1.61 WHIP coming into today's start. The White Sox have lost 3 out of their last 5 ball games, and they average only 1.6 runs a game in those losses. The White Sox are also allowing over 5.1 runs a game when they travel. They currently have a losing road record of just 3-4. They're taking on a Boston club who won 9 out of their last 10, and they rank in the top 3 in the bigs in scoring. J.D. Martinez is batting .378 with 5 homers and a dozen extra base hits. Martinez also batted in 16, and he currently has an OPS of 1.307. Meanwhile, Rafael Devers has hit 5 homers on the season himself, along with 13 ribbies. Devers has an OPS of 935. This Red Sox lineup is averaging nearly double-digit hits per contest. When it comes to the total in this one, Boston is 4-2 to the over at Fenway, 8-5 to the over for the entire season. Meanwhile, the White Sox are 4-3 to the over as the away team themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Boston Red Sox minus a $1.15 in the over 9 runs. Next ball game, Tigers Athletics 4:07 Eastern first pitch. The Oakland A's are minus 140, totals 9, juice to the under. Cole Irvin for the Athletics, Casey Mize for the Tigers. Casey Mize is 1-0 on the season with a .82 ERA and a 1.18 whip. The Tigers have won 3 out of their last 5, and they gave up just 2.6 runs per contest in those 3 victories. They're taking on an Oakland squad who's won just 3 out of 9 home games this year. The Athletics are also in the bottom 3 in home scoring, bottom 3 in home hits. They're scoring just 3.1 runs per contest on their home field. They also have Cole Irvin on the bump here today. He comes into this contest with an 0-2 record and a 7.45 ERA. Oakland's allowing nearly 8 runs per contest on average as the official home team. Their pitching staff's also dead last in the majors in hits allowed at home as well. Now, total-wise, 6 out of Oakland's last 9 home games did get over the number. They're also 9-5 to the over for the entire season. Meanwhile, Detroit saw 3 out of their last 4 get over the total of 9 runs themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Detroit Tigers plus a $1.25 in the over 9. Next ball game, Indians versus the Reds, 4:10 East. The Cincinnati Reds are minus $1.35, totals 8.5. Sonny Gray for Cincinnati, Tristan McKenzie for Cleveland. Now, McKenzie's still looking for his first win of 2021. He comes into this contest with a 4.70 ERA. He also walked 6 batters in just over 7 innings of work. Cleveland struggled as the away team this year. They've dropped 5 of 8 away from their home field. Cleveland's in the bottom 3 in the majors in hits, and they're also scoring only 3.1 runs a game on the road. They're taking on a Cincy club who's 6-1 at the Great American Ballpark this year, and they also lead the Bigs in home scoring. Cincy's averaging a staggering 9.5 runs per contest as the home team. Nick Castellanos is batting .321 with 5 homers and double-digit ribbies. Meanwhile, Tyler Naquin's hit 5 home runs himself, along with 14 RBI for the Reds. Now, total-wise, 6 out of Cincy's last 7 home games got over the line, 9-4 to the over for the entire year. I'm going to lean toward the Cincinnati Reds minus $1.35 and the over 8.5. Next contest, it is going to be Mets versus the Rockies, game 1 of the doubleheader, 5:10 p.m. Eastern start time. The Mets are minus $1.15 on the road, totals 10.5. Jake DeGrom for New York, Chichi Gonzalez for Colorado. But as good as Chichi's looked, the Rockies simply aren't good enough as a team. They've lost their last 6 straight, just 3-10 straight up overall for the season. They're taking on a Mets team who's on a 3-game winning streak themselves. They're also coming fresh off a 3-game sweep of the Phillies this week. The New York Mets, they've won 5 out of their last 7. And they also have one of the best in the game on the mound here today. Now, Jake DeGrom struck out 21 batters in just 14 innings of work. And, of course, in addition to that, he comes into today's start with a .64 ERA and a .71 whip. The Mets are allowing just 3.2 runs per contest. And when it comes to the total in this one, Colorado's 4-3 to the under at Coors Field, 9-4 to the under for the entire season. I'm going to lean toward the New York Mets minus $1.15 and the under 10.5. Next ball game, Giants Marlins, 6:10 Eastern start time. Miami Marlins are minus $1.30, numbers 8 flat. Sandy Alcantara for the Fish, Aaron Sanchez for San Francisco. The Giants have won 7 out of their last 10 ball games, first in the majors in runs allowed per game. San Francisco is giving up just 2.9 runs per contest, and they've got Aaron Sanchez on the mound here today. Sanchez has a 2.70 ERA and a 1.00 whip. San Francisco is currently 8-5 overall on the season, and they find themselves in second place in the NL West behind the Dodgers. They're taking on a Miami squad who's done a poor job of performing at home. The Marlins have lost 5 of 7 at Lone Depot Park, and they scored just 3.1 runs per contest there. And despite a bunch of strikeouts already, right-handed pitcher Sandy Alcantara, he comes into this matchup with an 0-1 record and 7 walks in just over 18 innings pitched. Now, total-wise, Miami's 5-2 to the under as the home team, 8-5 to the under for the entire season. Meanwhile, the Giants saw 5 out of their last 7 road games stay under the total themselves. I'm going to lean toward the San Francisco Giants plus $110 and the under 8 runs. Next matchup, Orioles, Rangers, 7:05 East. The Texas Rangers are minus $140, totals 9. Dane Dunning for Texas, Dean Kramer for Baltimore. And despite a rough start to the year for Kramer, we're still looking at a Baltimore team who's been playing their best baseball on the road. The O's have won 5 of 7 as the away team, and they scored a dozen total runs in their last 2 victories. Now they're taking on a Rangers club who lost 5 out of their last 8 themselves, and they've also really struggled at Globe Life Field. Texas has been victorious in only 2 of 7 home games, and they also failed to cash in on the run line 5 times during that 7-game span. Now, the Rangers are scoring just 2.5 runs per contest at home, and that's going to be last in the majors in that particular category. Now, when it comes to the scoring in this one, 5 out of the Rangers' last 7 home games stayed under the total. No real surprise there. Meanwhile, Baltimore's 5-2 to the under in their last 7 away games themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Baltimore Orioles plus 1.5 and the under 9 runs. Next contest, still in that 7 o'clock slate here. I'm talking about the Pirates versus the Brewers, 7:10 p.m. Eastern first pitch. The Milwaukee Brewers are minus 145, totals 8.5. Brett Anderson for Milwaukee, Trevor Cahill for Pittsburgh. Now, Trevor Cahill's 0-1 with an 8.00 ERA and a 1.56 whip. Pittsburgh's just 2-5 straight up when they travel, and they give up 7 runs per contest as the away team. The Pirates are also scoring just 2.8 runs per contest as the official road team as well. They're taking on a Milwaukee ball club who's won 6 out of their last 9, and they allow just 6 hits a game on average. Brett Anderson's got a career 3.45 ERA against Pittsburgh. When it comes to the number in this one, Milwaukee's last 3 straight stayed under the total of 8.5 runs. They're officially 8-5 to the under for the entire season. Meanwhile, 4 out of Pittsburgh's last 6 stayed under the total of 8.5 runs themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Milwaukee Brewers minus $145 and the under 8.5. Next contest, Dodgers, Padres, 8:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Dodgers are minus $1.30, numbers 7.5 flat. Clayton Kershaw for Los Angeles, Yu Darvish for San Diego. But despite exceptional stuff from Darvish early, we're looking at a Padre team who lost 3 out of their last 4, with 2 of those losses coming against the likes of Pittsburgh. San Diego is playing just 500 baseball on their home field, and they actually failed to cash in on the run line in 5 out of their last 8 home games. They're taking on a Dodger club who's on a 7-game winning streak themselves, and they're also winning 75% of their road games. LA's currently 12-2 straight up overall for the season, and they lead the majors in hits per contest. Max Muncy's hitting .348 with a 1.130 OPS. Muncy's hit 3 home runs, batted in 10, and walked 13 times already. Meanwhile, Justin Turner smashed 4 homers already himself, 15 ribbies and 22 total hits for Turner. Justin's got an OPS of 1.282. LA scoring nearly 7 runs a game as the away team. When it comes to the scoring in this one, 6 out of LA's last 9 ball games did stay under the total of 7.5 runs. Meanwhile, the Padres are officially 6-2 to the under at Petco Park. I'm going to lean toward the LA Dodgers minus $1.30 and the under 7.5. Next matchup, Twins, Angels, 9:07 Eastern start time. The Angels are minus 110, totals 9. Jose Quintana for the Angels, Matt Shoemaker for Minnesota. Now, the Angels have won 5 of 7 on their home field. They're in the top 5 in Major League Baseball in hits per contest. They're also in the top 10 in the majors in home scoring. Shohei Ohtani, he's batting .333 with 4 homers and a dozen RBI. Ohtani's also got a 1.076 OPS. Meanwhile, of course, Mike Trout, he's hit 4 home runs himself, along with double-digit ribbies as well. Now, the center fielder has been walked 13 times already, and he's got an OPS of 1.276. They're taking on a Minnesota club who lost 6 out of their last 7. They strike out nearly 13 times a game at the plate when they're away. Matt Shoemaker also comes into the start today with a 4.09 ERA. And when it comes to the number in this one, Minnesota's 4-3 to the over on the road. Los Angeles is 4-3 to the over at home. I'm going to lean toward the LA Angels minus $1.10 and the over 9 runs. With that, guys, we're going to dive into our next and final matchup for the show. It is going to be Astros versus the Mariners, 9:10 p.m. East. The Houston Astros are minus 135, numbers 8. Zach Greinke for the Stros, Chris Flexen for Seattle. Now, the Mariners are on a 3-game winning streak, 6-1 straight up in their last 7. Mitch Haniger is batting .351 with 4 homers and 11 RBI. Haninger's also got a 1.003 OPS. Kyle Seager's also batting .294 with a pair of homers and a dozen ribbies as well. They're taking on a Houston squad who's in the heart of a 6-game skid. The Astros pitching staff gives up 6 runs or more. Well, they gave up 6 runs or more in each and every one of those 6 losses. Zach Greinke's also coming into tonight's start with a 4.08 ERA. Now, when it comes to the number in this one, 9 out of Houston's last 10 outings failed to stay under the total of 8 runs. And as a matter of fact, Houston's officially 6-1 to the over as the away team. Meanwhile, the Mariners are 5-2 to the over at T-Mobile Park, 9-5 to the over for the entire season as well. I'm going to lean toward the Seattle Mariners plus $1.15 and the over 8 runs. And with that, guys, we're going to hop into our quick pick recap, powered to you by my Patreon website. I like New York Yankees plus $1 over 8. Washington minus $1.10 over 8.5. Kansas City plus $1 over 9 runs. Atlanta minus $1.30 under 8.5. St. Louis minus 115 under 9. Boston minus 115 over 9 runs. Detroit Tigers plus $1.25 over 9. Cincinnati minus $1.35 over 8.5. New York Mets minus $1.15 under 10.5 runs. San Francisco plus $1.10 under 8. Baltimore plus 1.5 under 9 runs. Milwaukee minus 145 under 8.5. LA Dodgers minus 130 under 7.5. LA Angels minus $1.10 over 9 runs. Before I give you my next and final free pick for the video, one final reminder that we are 2-0 in our last 2 $1.99 daily best plays on my Patreon website. We're also 2-0 in our last 2 MLB tier package picks on that Patreon page as well. I'm going to lean toward Seattle plus $1.15 and the over 8 runs. And with that, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on Patreon. If you guys decide to get a package here today, just keep in mind, Patreon's going to bill you the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. So if you do end up getting a package here today, you are going to get access to that content all the way through the end of April. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, happy Saturday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.